Egunon, muy buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to present the press conference now, which corresponds to the film La Peste, The Plague. The first two episodes of the TV series, which we premiered in the official section of the film festival, but out of competition. We have with us today the director and creator Alberto Rodriguez, Rafael Cobos, the screenplay writer and creator also, Pablo Molinero, actors Patricia López Arnaiz, Cecilia Gómez, Paco León, and Manuel Soto, and the producers Domingo Corral and José Antonio Félez. Whenever you deem pertinent, you can ask questions.
My question is basically, John Hopewell from Variety, on your style of direction, in that the... O lo hago en español si quieres que... Mi pregunta es básicamente sobre vuestra...
My question has to do with your style of direction, because it seems to me that it's very, very physical, very kinetic, and it's an example of your style in general, just like in Marshlands, La Isla Mínima. But in turn, the narration plays a lot with ideas, with issues dealing with corruption, difference of wealth, etc. Is this something that was unconscious, or was it an attempt of playing with what you're doing in your cinema, in your films? And there were things that you had to change in your style of direction, making a film which were, for example, TV episodes in this case. As regards to what you're saying, from the outset our intention was, the idea of this series stems from there, was that the spectator or the audience could go the truest and possible journey through the 16th century at street level. We wanted to talk about of the big men that characters that come out in the big history books, but the small stories that don't include in history books. And what surprised us from the outset was precisely when we researched it, we didn't have no idea what life was like in the 16th century. There's something very physical that we've tended to do from the outset, so that the audience can accompany Pablo and Mateo in his entry, to be stuck close to him, that they could feel the street, to be the life that was going on in the streets when he enters the city. And the truth is, we've had to adapt ourselves, and the truth is, yes, because the production system is different. And basically, we worked with 2 units and 2 cameras at the same time, and generally, we don't generally do this. But I think that, on the other hand, simply the days, we got more out of the days. We needed to get much more material out each day, but that's the only difference vis-a-vis other films I've made. To adapt to that, to say time was a bit shorter. Thank you. Yes, please. Good morning. I'm from Seville, and the truth is I loved it very much. To see Seville reconstructed in that period, but what drew my attention a lot is not being the plague of Murillo's years. Well, it seemed to see there are a lot of references to Murillo and to Velázquez within the depth of range, very similar to Velázquez's paintings, the children of Murillo. I don't know whether how did you address all that issue? And even the billboards, that is to say, we see, it drew my attention that wasn't the period. Yes, we managed we researched this, but perhaps Murillo, we had some of his paintings around, but perhaps it had much to do with what we were managing with Caravaggio, for example. This is what we were hanging up on in the art department. There were 2 walls full of of paintings of that period. And we did manage those references, but when creating the light, I think Pau, in this case, Pau Esteve, the DOP, did a great job, and he tried to be very faithful at all times to the light that existed at that period of time. The houses, and they had very small windows, very little light would come in through the window, and at night there was no light at all, and so therefore we've also tried to recreate that. There were days that we were shooting, and the people in the unit in the crew couldn't see each other. Where are you? Well, I'm over here, I'm over there. Yeah, I'm seriously saying that's how difficult it was, because there are sequences that are illuminated with 2 or 3 candles. There's no more. Yes, it's true. There were moments that the makeup artist came along and she says, "Who's this woman?" And she started to make up someone who wasn't an actor. Things like this, someone who's in the crew but not in the cast. Hi, good morning. Thea Pineda from the Periódico de Catalunya. Paco León, how did you get under the skin of this character, which is a register which is quite different that we're used to seeing you play, and then you've also got a lot of experience on TV. I would like to tell me whether this series, do you think, could mark a before and an after vis-a-vis the story or the history of TV because of how solid it is, the project? Well, I think so. I think that it sets a before and an after because of the type of production, and also because the fact that the series is here in the San Sebastian Film Festival within the official program, I think it's a symptom of something that's happening. That is to say that it's real, and the ways that we see in fiction are changing, and the limits are the edges are being blurred between film and TV, and we've got to revise TV. Films are good and TV's bad. No, that's being changed. I think that pay-per-view TV is giving us freedom and means to create with quite a lot of freedom and creativity, and with products outside the parameters or mercantile parameters of open TV. So therefore, I think that The Plague, this series, the La Peste, is one of the first. Well, it's inaugurating, better said, these types of sections in festivals like this in San Sebastian, and I think it is. I think it's a landmark in itself. And how did I get under the skin of my character, Zúñiga? Well, giving like a nun, putting myself at the knee to the crew, Paco and Alberto, because this is new field for me, that tone on that temperature, portraying this role. I'm a comic, very much, but all of a sudden, to control the sign, doing something which is so small gestures and things that are very mixed up. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself working. I want to see the result as well, because I've made it. I portrayed the character, but I haven't seen it. I want to see. For me, it was one of the best professional experiences that I've ever had. The truth be said. Hi, good morning. Congratulations for the film, for the excellent atmosphere that you portray in the city of Seville, and for the entire project. But Alberto, how do you assess the change of the format in the industry from what we've seen, for example, Scorsese, for example, Sorrentino, or Woody Allen, or Fincher, for example, have leaped into doing a TV series now? Do you think that it's a good idea that we should jump into these new formats? I think if it's fiction, I see it as something very positive, especially these types of projects. I'm not too sure whether this will set a before and an after, but what will happen. But I know that what we were encouraged is to don't take the easy road. That is to say, you can do whatever you want. You can complicate yourselves. You can set this up in a different way. And we're interested you tell this story in another way and to tell other stories. And that's why, from the beginning, We at least, that's why we were interested in this project, because we wanted to try something new, and that's what I think that has emerged one way or another. But how do I assess the industry? Well, I think that film won't disappear. I don't want it to disappear, and plus I enjoy going to seeing a film in a film theatre. I think they're made for that, to see it in that format, but I think that can coexist with TV series, and I think that there are many people doing TV series, but that has happened at other times as well. But so therefore, I don't think, sometimes we've got a very short memory and we forget very quickly that, I don't know, that film started with a lot of series on TV. So, next question, please. At the back.
Hola, buenos días.
Hi, good morning. For Alberto, I'm not too sure whether you'd seen the plague on a big screen like today, whether you imagine that it would give you this sensation of not being anything different to a real film, shall we say. As a spectator, it didn't seem that it was TV, but it was real cinema. I've not had the opportunity. I've seen it on a screen that was half as big as this. I've never seen it on a big screen. And the truth is, I'm curious to see it, actually, to see what it looks like on the big screen, because I've not had a chance to see it. That's the strangest thing in the process. To think that we were doing was going to be seen in a TV, a large TV, and then on a mobile phone. That's really strange. I was thinking about that. In fact, that's what's driven us crazy when addressing certain aspects of lighting in the film. But I hope that you enjoyed it. There are certain sequences that will seem better in a big screen than in a small screen, the truth is. One or two of them. They're made for a dark room, for example. Especially the little children, when they're making the sparks fly, I imagine on the big screen should work quite well, I believe. Hi, a question for Alberto. It's a bit what you've just talked about, and you've just mentioned that do you think a film or a TV series illuminated with a couple of candles can be seen on a mobile phone? Doesn't that frustrate you as a director? And then the dynamics that we've seen of showing 2 chapters or 2 episodes instead of 6-10, how many? 6 episodes. Doesn't that provoke a certain feeling of it being strange, because a film it starts and gives you an ending, and here we give an idea of what it is, but we don't see the entire series of it. It's a bit strange for us to see what we see, and I must say that the truth, the entire series is not finished yet, so we're still editing it, and we've got from here to Christmas to finish it. Well, a little earlier in November, so we've still got work to do, because we're a lot of time, and it's being done very carefully, so therefore it'd be impossible to show you many more that we could see. I would love to have seen I have finished the 6th episode myself, but there's still a lot of work in the editing side of things. I'm not too sure whether I've answered you, Oscar. The first question I forgot. Yeah, how frustrating it could be to have the episode seen on a mobile phone, and you say, well, 2 episodes, you've got to see the entire series to see how it finishes. Yes, it's a bit. It's like a coitus interruptus, yes, that's the reason, yeah. But I think it's worthwhile to see in the entire 6 episodes, but as we live in a world that people consume, I think it's quite strange to see audiovisual, something that, unless it's a joke or a piece of news, on a mobile phone, but people do so, they consume films in mobile phones. So it's pretty tough to see. I don't know. I don't understand that very well. I think the series is to be seen in a big screen, a big TV screen, that's it, because you're going to enjoy it. In fact, there's something that's quite strange, or at least I come from TV. In the first 6 years of my career, I worked on TV. The first thing was to put some colors so that people at home could adjust their TV or what's being broadcast on TV. So therefore, That doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately. It doesn't exist. People don't play around. People do whatever they want with it. It's impossible to control how it's going to be consumed, obviously. The ideal situation would be adjust the TV quite well, because that's what it's made for a big screen. But how you consume it, well, that's up to you, end of the day. I can't control that. It's like drinking a very good wine, but in a plastic glass. Well, people do that. Okay, next question, please. Emiliano de Pablos from Variete. A question for the producers. The TV is, well, the series is sold by Sky Vision, which is one of the strongest, most powerful agents in Europe. Are you aware of the fact of what has been the initial reception in the marketplace? Yes. I can forward you the following. It's been very positive. In fact, we're going to have a very significant presence in Cannes, in the TV, in the MIPCOM, which is going to be held now in October, and very positive. And also, it's very important to say that the series was bought upon just on the script by Sky Vision and others that were interested. We considered that Sky Vision was the best option. They bought it on the script. They'd not seen anything, and upon the script, what they read, and upon the creators, because they'd seen Marshland, Islamism Minima. Upon that, what they did was they made an offer and bought it. So therefore, we've got one of the best partners, international partners, to sell the series. I think it's very important how it's premiered nationally in Spain, but it's an absolute priority that this series it goes a long way internationally, because I think it's at the level of the great series that are made in Europe and the United States. And we're very proud that creators from here have set up this series, and we're going to get an enormous effort along with Sky Vision so that it can be seen throughout the world. Another question, perhaps, for Alberto, I believe, and José Antonio. Above all, we've seen in San Sebastian a series which is called Spanish Shame, in English, Vergüenza, that it seems to me has an obvious influence not only of North American series like Curb Your Enthusiasm or Luik, but of the great tradition of Azcona Palanga, Fernando Fernández Gómez, of Spanish noir comedy. But in turn, are you under the impression that the plague, this series, is fitting into another? Obviously, it's a TV series that fits into something else, which is the Spanish tradition. That is to say, this social approach, which is very humanist, where we can see from a film that flourishes with the Spanish transition, and has still been watched up until the present day. Well, okay, you can say, can you say more than just yes? Like, it's a good question, for example. I think that one way or another, you're right. Yes, it does link to that, because I haven't been able to see Vergüenza, Spanish Shame. I feel like watching it, but because of the directors and because of Javi, who I'm a good friend of, I haven't seen the series, and I came to the festival yesterday, and I've not had a chance to see anything. But I really feel I'm looking forward to watching it. Yes, I've seen it, and I coincide with you, John. That is to say that I think that's what it is. The truth is that you've done something, a type of humor which has not been made for a long time, but it is deeply rooted with what you say, with a tradition that existed in the past, that noir type of humor, albeit in a very Spanish key and with great performances, with scripts that I think are very well worked upon. It's a project that has also had a lot of time it's been pursued for many years to achieve it, and at the end of the day, it's a surprise. Those types of wages, shall we say, to do things couldn't have been done perhaps unless if there hadn't been someone like Movie Star who was prepared to wager in favor of making that type of TV series, they would not have, they couldn't finance themselves. So therefore, I think they've made under good conditions. It has a magnificent cast. It's they're very well directed, and I think that I had the good fortune of seeing it here completely, the entire series on Tuesday, when it was presented in Tabacalera, and I was surprised that it was seen so well. I saw the 10 episodes because they were made in the format, 10 episodes, 30 minutes or 25 minutes, over 250 minutes in total, and therefore the truth is it wasn't too long, and I think that it's very interesting. It's an example of what Movie Star can make on TV. Thank you. Hi, good morning. I would like to ask about the connection with the present day that this TV series has, because seeing it, I've seen a lot of tributes outside the story. I think that what I most liked about the TV series, and Rafa and Alberto, can you tell us about that political, almost a link to the present day? Thank you. Yes, it does have. In a way, we already did it on La Isla Mínima, Marshland. We normally use a genre, which was a thriller in that case, to tell other things. But the plague, at the end of the day, is a metaphor, and the associations and your reading is linked to the crisis, the moment that we've lived in present, and it's behind the series. The first two episodes, we see how you see those types throwing people out who are suffering the plague, corruption, when the disease is going to come into the city. Someone wants to prevent it because a series of interests is there, and that's a lot. So therefore, we've wanted the present day to be present, shall we say, in the film, and it's a perfect opportunity to do it at the same time. Question, hi. To the director and the producer, there's being a change now in the audiovisual means, in where the films are they're being made for the internet, and we're seeing with this case it's also that TV is going to is appearing on a cinema screen. So the audiovisual format is changing quite a lot. I'd like to know what your opinion is as regards to this case and how that all goes. Yes, I'm not too sure. Well, would you like to add anything? I wasn't here when that question was asked. Well, to add something a bit more and to finish very briefly, and in order to answer you, what's happening at present is that the formats being something of the past, there's more interconnection. The consumption of audiovisual material is becoming much more visible. It's being consumed in a different way. Films are seen, for example, on tablets or on TV, or they've been seen on film theater screens, so therefore on the big screen. So therefore, from that point of view, it's very good that I don't think that we shouldn't make too many barriers for watching it. And what the language at the end of the day does condition the means, conditions the language that is used, but only very little. And I think that we can work doing good things for whatever way or format you want to watch it. Excuse me to insist a bit more about the issue of painting, of the paintings, but I'm very intrigued about the character of the painter with that Pinelo, because I'm not too sure whether you found they researched this, or is that the real name? Because it doesn't exist. No, but obviously as giving her a surname, Pinelo, the Pinelo family being so important, and it brings about a certain confusion. Because I went to look for it, I said, if it was a surname or a name which was with less weight, shall we say, in Seville, or less well known in Seville, it'd be easier. But I researched this to see if there's something that I didn't know. No. We took that license. Teresa's character does link to Josefa de Ovido, I think is her name. I don't know that she was Galician, but she couldn't sign those paintings because she couldn't sell it, and for many times she was signing with her father's name. Pinelo responds to the fact of a social position, the most consistent nobility, shall we say, in Seville, and that's why we gave her that surname, basically. It has nothing to do with any Pinelo. The real Pinelo, yes, because I looked, I was intrigued. I said, I was wondering whether we had a painter there that I didn't know anything about from Seville. And the idea, I'm sorry, I'm being a pain, but that idea of a woman painter within the plot. Well, she's a painter, but at the end of the day, but she's a person who's seeking empowerment and almost an identity. The women didn't exist; they were subjected to a man or to God. I thought it was a great metaphor to do that, to take this journey towards empowerment of this woman. Next question, please. Hi. Question is for the actors. You've been talking during the presentation about the feeling that it's a TV series which is the beginning of many things. The first time a TV series is on in the festival. It's one of the first TV series produced by Movistar Plus. I would like to ask you, for some of them is a change. Paco, for example, it's a role which is more dramatic. For others, it's a trip into the past. And a question for Pablo. What was your initial impressions when you read the script, and how would you present this to the future spectators of the TV series? Everything you can tell, that is to say, without going too far. Thank you. I think that it's a very intense journey back to the 16th century at all different levels, because, and as Alberto said, it's a back into the history that has happened in the books, in history books. So the landscapes change from El Arrabal to the palaces within the city of Seville. So therefore, it's quite an extensive journey, and the experience has been very intense. It's very, very intensive because it's a long project over time, and that also means that you need a lot of intensity for it to, and you need a very close-knit cast, and I'm great. I think it's a gift. I've learned a lot, and I'm very gratified. All gratitude on my behalf. What I can basically say, when I read the script, and when I did the audition, because my greatest interest, apart from I loved the story, I had to read it several times, and I had to research this to understand that moment in time. But above all, I was very interested in our part, the part we play, the part of what women, the role women play. And I think that the film reflects this quite well. Teresa's character has that place to demonstrate how women lived in that period of time without being a character that depends upon other male characters. In essence, it's a story of a woman, and to discover, when I researched women at that period to understand what can be seen in the film, I discovered to understand much. I understood the present, what we were talking about, the fact that the economic crisis and how that's reflected in the case of women. It seems that it's very up to date. It's today, basically nowadays, of what we've inherit. That is, what women said at that time. They had to be, in this case, it's a moment of chaos and disorder in Seville. The women go to America, women participate more and start to occupy the streets, and that couldn't be permitted. The institutions try to take control and maintain order so that the women can be in their place, to not occupy the streets publicly, and absolutely all of them should be under male. Women, that is to say, nuns, widows, no, but what are we going to do with the widows? But nuns as well as the whores. So therefore, there are a lot of obstacles here, and to see the inheritance, what we've inherited, it allows me to show what I bring from my mother and my grandmother, and where it comes from, to understand, to see how the church used symbology with a political interest in mind, which is at this moment we want women to be productive. Well, let's use a lot of discourse, a lot of images of the Virgin nourishing the babe in arms. Well, if you wanted to be closed in, well, let's show the image of the Immaculate Virgin in this way. It was the marketing back then to generate public opinion and a mentality, a mindset which is there. We see it. It helps you to understand the present. It's very interesting. Well, it was very interesting for me. Yes, thank you. What fascinated me when I read the script for the first time was what it told, the story it told about a city that I know, that I thought I knew, but I think I know because I've lived most of my life in Seville. And to see where the Seville that I know, where it comes from, and where its roots are, where it nourishes itself from. That is to say, to learn about my city, the past of it, opening up my eyes on the one side, the hidden side of things, when Seville was, for example, the Babylon or the New York of that period, the splendor of Europe, shall we say. It was the center, or as if it were a big light. And this is the way I thought about it set up, which is very interesting, that apart from being a vehicle for entertainment, it's something that it's enabled me to learn and to enjoy by reading and learning. And plus, there's a lot of powerful research work that has been done, and for me, as an actor, has been given to me, and that has been marvelous. But I was hooked on it. I had to say, well, let's stop reading books like this, because I was going crazy. Yeah, almost paranoid. But it was a pleasure to discover things about my city and the connection between the Seville of that period and the Seville nowadays. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Ceci. I forgot the question. I'll talk. What I would tell the audience, or those of you who have seen the first two episodes, or those who will see the two episodes, in those first two episodes, the characters are presented. Each of them are quite complex and develop over the 6 episodes at the end. But it's really cool how things end up, okay? That's all I can say. I can go as far as that. But the 6 episodes, all of the characters have endings. Cool. Which is the cool thing about that. I can't say anymore. No. I can't say anymore. My hands are tied. Did you have a good time, Ceci, playing your character?
Tu personaje, no, la verdad es que la voy a entrevistar yo. Tu personaje era de prostituta.
Your character was a prostitute, right? Yes, that was my character. I was a prostitute. In the 16th century, the Teresa, the Teresa plays, it was marvelous to be able to work with Alberto, with the entire cast and crew. And also, the work was very cool for me to research the prostitution in that period of time, which I had frankly no idea about. So therefore, it goes against not the way that I was educated by my parents, but because the truth is that women had no voice back then. I don't know whether you knew, and it's a bit contradictory against me because this girl, her character is a bit more contained. There's a lot of contention there, and I can't really tell you much more. Okay. We got time for one final question. Hi, good morning. The question is for Alberto and Rafael. I think that you mentioned that this TV series is only 1 season and it concludes here with these 6 episodes. But if that's not the case, you're interested in continuing it, and if not, whether you feel like continuing collaborating with movie stars and more series, or going back to films, standard film, shall we say? or feature films. Well, we're now developing the second season. I'm not too sure whether you can say this or not. Well, but I've already said it. And I'm not too sure we can say it or not, but no, you're not supposed to be able to say it. One of the powerful elements in the second season has related to what Cecilia was saying before, that with prostitution and with that red light, that neighborhood which was occupied by Moors and managed by the town council, the city council, by the church, and so that's going to be one of the main elements of the second season. Okay, that's all. Question answered. Thank you very much to all of you. A lot of luck with the TV series, and thank you to all of you.